What is the definition of insanity? Doing the same thing over and over again and expecting different results. That's where we're at with this Philadelphia Eagles offense right now. Let's talk about it. You're watching Eagles Now by Chat Sports. My name is Chase Sr. As always, thank you so much for supporting the show. And no matter where you are, how you're tuned in, we appreciate you for making today's show a part of your day. Nick Sirianni speaking with the media just moments ago in the aftermath of that Bears loss, and he said that Kevin Patullo, after the Eagles met over the weekend, will remain the offensive play caller. Now, it's not just Kevin Patullo who is the issue with this Eagles offense, and according to police reports, his house got egged on Saturday after that Black Friday loss to the Chicago Bears. There are a litany of issues with this Eagles offensive unit, and it's becoming a laundry list at this point going into Week 14. Let's start with the quarterback. He's the most important player on the team. Since the bye week, outside of the start of that Cowboys game, Jalen Hurts has played very, very poorly. In the second half against Dallas, he wasn't good, wasn't processing well. Prior to that, against the Green Bay Packers coming out of the bye, I thought Jalen Hurts played a poor game. Against the Detroit Lions, Hurts, for the most part, was kind of awful. Against the Chicago Bears, missing throws, missing reads, not processing. Now, oftentimes, a quality offensive coordinator can elevate a quarterback. See Shane Steichen with Jalen Hurts in 2022 when Hurts was the MVP runner-up. See Kellen Moore last year when Hurts won Super Bowl MVP. I don't think that Kevin Patullo this year has elevated Jalen Hurts. But Jalen Hurts deserves blame for the offensive struggles because he's the one who's pulling the trigger on these throws, and he's not playing well right now. Let's go to the offensive line. Jordan Mailata, one of the highest paid left tackles in football. Landon Dickerson, one of the highest paid left guards in football. Cam Jurgens, one of the highest paid centers in football. Lane Johnson, one of the highest paid right tackles in football. They all this year have played poorly, and then with Lane Johnson, he's been injured a lot. And this offensive line, considering the investments that Howie Roseman has made into the trenches, has been a major disappointment. Run blocking, they've stunk. They can't create holes or get a push for Saquon Barkley. Pass blocking hasn't been the same unit that we've seen in years prior. And that's an issue because the backbone, the foundation of this Eagles offense has been and is the offensive line, and that's really exposing a lot of the Eagles' problems right now, which leads me to the third point. The Eagles cannot run the football. Now, Saquon Barkley's vision hasn't been great this year, but I think the lack of explosive plays and the lack of production has been because his yards before contact all year has been down a yard to a yard and a half from where it was last year. And in a game like we saw on Friday, how does Kevin Patullo go away from Saquon where he has less than 15 carries in that ball game? It was kind of close for a majority of it, and it was very windy and cold. More problems with this Eagles offense. Execution and penalties. Shoot, players have been talking about this for weeks. It comes down to us not executing. We're not executing. We're missing assignments. We're missing blocks. We're not doing the little things right. And then penalties continue to shoot this Eagles offense in its foot. And the Eagles this year have had the most 3-and-outs in football. Their average yards to go on third down has been like 3rd and 8. Not a sustainable way to play football. Big reason for that, they back themselves up with penalties or they have negative plays on 1st and 2nd down. Lastly, the scheme and the play calling has also been lackluster. Now, the blame for that isn't all on Kevin Patullo. At the end of the day, this is Nick Sirianni's offense. He is to blame for this scheme. And it got me thinking to what he said back a couple of years ago. No matter if Kevin Patullo is calling the offense, Shane Steichen's calling it, Brian Johnson, Jeff Stoutland, Jason Michael, Jonathan Gannon comes over and calls it. Howie calls it from up there. Jeffrey Lurie, Dom DeSandro, Julian Lurie. This is my offense. I'm very particular, and I know what I believe in the passing and the running game and offensive football. Everything was being evaluated. We'll think about the same different things, what we want to do, scheme, everything. I don't think it benefits for me to share what that is. That was Sirianni a couple of years ago, and throughout his tenure, there have been these lingering problems with this Eagles offensive scheme. And it's never been that creative, exotic, or aggressive. The route concepts have always been limited, a little bit predictable, and vanilla. And the Eagles offense rarely schemes players open. They rely on special players being special, but you can't rely on players to win one-on-one matchups at all times, which also isn't possible when you're playing against zone. And all of these things are problems when you see some of these other offenses that are being run, called, designed, and played across the NFL. I mean, shoot, going from 2023 to 2024, even pre-snap motion was a chore to ask for. The Eagles were using pre-snap motion at one of the lowest rates in the NFL in 2023. With Kellen Moore, he introduced it. It got a little bit better. But the Eagles' pre-snap motion isn't really that creative when you compare it to a Sean McVay, a Kyle Shanahan, a Ben Johnson, who use pre-snap motion to scheme players open. The Eagles use it to try to identify what the defense is doing. But what defenses are doing now, they might trail somebody to indicate man coverage, but then they just drop back into zone. Then the Eagles have no answers. And I'll say this, watching the Bears offense on Friday with their running scheme, the pre-snap motion, offensive line pulling, and some of the route concepts in the pass game, some of the misdirection, when you compare visually what Ben Johnson's offense looks like to Nick Sirianni's, it's a completely different sport. But at the same time, this has been a problem with Kevin Patullo all year. And I think back to my interview with him during Super Bowl week when he said that Chan Gailey was one of his biggest offensive influences. Chan Gailey was never known to be an offensive czar or a guy who ran some creative concepts that would make you drool from an innovational standpoint. And Kevin Patullo's play calling feel, play calling rhythm, play calling consistency has been off all year long. You watch Ben Johnson on Friday. You watch Kyle Shanahan yesterday. You watch Sean McVay and these coordinators at any time. You watch Vic Fangio call the defense. When you watch them, their play calls make sense. They have a play calling feel. They possess a play calling rhythm. And there is a consistency to what they do. The lack of consistency here, I think, is what leads to inconsistencies from this Eagles offense. So I said this after the game during our post-game show, that I think it also comes down to this. Moving forward here, as we're running out of time in a year where the NFL is wide open, the Eagles have the talent to compete for a Super Bowl. I just think that a change in play caller would give the offense some juice. It would light a fire under this unit. It would give a lifeless offense some life. And you look at the Eagles right now, I don't think that these offensive players believe in this scheme. What is being called? What is being coached? What is being designed? Look at Jalen Hurts during Friday's game against Chicago. Guy looks lost, and it's always a concerning trend when a guy like Jalen Hurts regresses. There are in-house options that I think would be better options than Kevin Patullo. Scott Loeffler, he's called plays and was a head coach at Bowling Green. He's made chicken salad out of chicken shit at times. Parks Frazier, pass game coordinator. He's called plays before at the NFL level. Kevin Patullo is not. And this is insane. The Eagles are 28th in success rate among 32 teams. They produce positive plays at a lower rate than the New Orleans Saints and the New York Jets. The New Orleans Saints and the New York Jets are two of the worst teams in the NFL. They don't have the talent level that the Eagles possess on this roster. Jalen Hurts, Saquon Barkley, A.J. Brown, DeVonta Smith, Dallas Goedert. And we're not talking about explosive plays. We're not talking about points. We're just talking about success rate and producing positive plays, which the Eagles are doing at a lower rate than the Saints and the Jets. Let that sink in. Unacceptable. For weeks, players have kept saying, too, we just need to execute. We just need to execute. It becomes a problem When they keep saying that, and all year long we continue to see the same offensive problems that have lingered since week 1. This has to be the last straw for Kevin Patullo going up against the Chargers on Monday Night Football, and he's going up against Jesse Minter, one of the top up-and-coming defensive minds in football. And so whatever fan put this sign up on Patterson Avenue near the link, fire Kevin Patullo, it didn't work. Nick Sirianni's still going with Kevin Patullo. And whichever fans were egging Patullo's crib on Saturday morning, probably some dumb teenagers. And not going to lie, when I was a teenager, I was throwing snowballs at cars. I was throwing water balloons at cars. I was egging people's houses. But I wouldn't have gone out of my way to say, Kevin Patullo, Eagles offensive coordinator, let's go egg his crib. And then post a video about it on social media where you know it's going to spread like wildfire. That's idiotic, and I don't condone it. You got to be better. That's why Eagles fans get a bad rep across the country, even though a lot of fan bases do that type of stuff. Anywho, we're only getting started on today's show. Let me ask you this. Will the Eagles beat the Chargers on Monday Night Football? Type yes, type no. To the Westchester Police Department, please don't arrest me because I just admitted to all of that. You need proof in order to put me in cuffs. Coming up next, what can the Eagles do to fix their offense with Kevin Patullo as their offensive coordinator? Getting into that just around the corner. Let's get to our sponsor, though. Our friends at Ridge, making today's Philadelphia Eagles now possible. I just got another Ridge wallet. I had to rock with the 2.0. This has been a game changer for me. I had the older one. Now I have the 2.0 carbon fiber look. It's been a game changer. You could put up to 12 cards plus cash into this, and this is still thinner than my iPhone. And they're running a great deal. Head to ridge.com/chat. Use the code chat, and you can see it for yourself. You could get up to 47% off. Holidays are coming up around the corner. This would serve as a great gift for yourself or somebody else. You can put it under the tree. You can even put it into a stocking because it's so compact. So say hello to the Ridge 2.0, the most refined version of the Ridge wallet. Ridge has been perfecting the wallet for 12 years. It's 10% lighter. Every gram matters. I'll say this too, improved cash straps, which is awesome. There's also an AirTag attachment. Losing your wallet, that's the worst. But with Ridge, you'll know exactly where it is with the Ridge AirTag attachment. They also have over 50 plus colors and styles to choose from. You can even get a wallet that features an Eagles logo on it, or every NFL, Major League Baseball, or college team. This is perfect for holiday gifting, especially since Ridge is having their biggest sale of the year. And when you talk about the design, I just love how durable it is. The people have spoken to. Over 100,000 five-star reviews. That is proof that Ridge is a gift that people love to receive. Made with premium materials like aluminum, titanium, and carbon fiber. The carbon fiber one is the one that I have. So listen up. For a limited time, Ridge is having their huge Black Friday sale. It still applies. Head to ridge.com/chat. Get up to 47% off your order. This is by far the biggest discount they've given all year. That's ridge.com/chat for up to 47% off your order during their biggest sale of the year. After you make your purchase, they'll ask you where you heard about them. Please support our show and tell them that Philadelphia Eagles now sent you. We'll put that link down below in the comment section and attach to the pinned comment of today's program. All right, let's do this. Nick Sirianni said on Monday, December 1st, he is going to continue to roll with Kevin Patullo as his offensive coordinator and play caller. So coming up here on the show, what can the Eagles do to fix their offense with Kevin Patullo as the play caller? Now, I think that Nick Sirianni during his tenure has been pretty malleable. I think one thing that he's done a good job of since 2021 when he took the job in place of Doug Peterson, among the many great things that he's done as the head coach of this ball club, is that he has made some quality in-season adjustments. And he's made some coordinator changes when he's been the head coach. He was calling plays to start his head coaching tenure. Gave over play calling duties to Shane Steichen. Shane Steichen did a great job in 2021, elevated and maximized Jalen Hurts in 2022. And now I think he's a great offensive designer and play caller. And this year, he has elevated Daniel Jones. In 2023, when this Eagles defense was falling apart, He took away play calling duties from Sean Desai, gave the keys to Matt Patricia. That move did backfire, though. As far as the Eagles changing their identities, they changed their offensive identity in 2021. They changed their offensive identity last year, where they went from being a pass-happy team that was turning the ball over a lot to a run-heavy team, and it led to a historic season for Saquon Barkley. And so while Nick Sirianni is not making a change at offensive coordinator, which I probably would have made at this point, are we going to see some different wrinkles? Here's what Sirianni said on Monday. Maybe this is a positive sign of some things to come. He said everything was being evaluated during our mini bye since the Eagles played on Friday. We'll think about some different things of what we want to do. Scheme, everything. I don't think it benefits for me to share what that is. Sirianni also expanded on that and said they could make some changes as far as the scheme goes, play calling goes, as far as the plays that they actually call, because he admitted, obviously, things need to change and we need to be better. And that's the truth. Because you look at these Eagles offensive rankings here, with this much talent, it's unacceptable that here we are going into week 14, and we're talking about one of the least productive offensive units in the National Football League. The Eagles are 24th among 32 teams in total yards. They are 24th in yards per game. They are 18th in total touchdowns. They are 27th in first downs. They're also first in 3 and outs. They are 25th in passing yards, 10th in yards per attempt, not too shabby, 16th in completion rate. They don't turn the football over a lot, although the last 2 weeks against Dallas and against the Bears, they have 4 turnovers. That's been a problem, but interceptions, Hurts has only thrown 2. That's the fewest in the NFL. Their run game, 22nd this year in rushing yards. It's not the Madden curse, it's the offensive line for Saquon Barkley. Yards per carry, 4. That is also 24th. Then you look at the situational offense for the Eagles. Third down percentage, 28th. And a big reason for that, penalties and a lack of being efficient on first and second down because they have been faced with so many third and longs. 34.5%, 20th in the NFL. Their fourth down percentage, 13th. Big reason for that? The tush push hasn't been as effective because the offensive line isn't as good. Positive here for the Eagles. They are first in red zone touchdown scoring percentage. This is kind of odd here, too. Jake Elliott got off to that really good start. It's kind of tailed off a little bit, especially with his longer field goals. 29th in field goal percentage for this Eagles team. So here are 5 things that I think the Eagles could do to fix this offense under Kevin Patullo. According to Jimmy Kempski and Jeff McClain, Jalen Hurts doesn't want as many runs in the game plan. Here's the thing, Jalen. With you being stubborn in that way, it's making the offense worse. This is a simple fix that if the Eagles run Jalen Hurts more on some of these design quarterback keepers, whether it be read options, quarterback draws, it's going to help this offense out. You can pick up easy yards, pick up easy first downs. You can gather and sustain some momentum, and it can open up the running lanes for Saquon Barkley. It can open up the passing game. Now, I completely understand that Jalen Hurts wants to keep himself out of harm's way. He doesn't want to get injured. And when you run more, obviously the chance of injury skyrockets a little bit. And in the playoffs, Hurts has been more prone to run because he understands, got to have it spot, win or go home game. I'm going to use my legs to my advantage. But Jalen, you're not seeing the field well right now. You're not processing that well. Accuracy usually has been a big strength of yours. It's not this year. And you're limiting the playbook for an offensive coordinator who's struggling right now to open up the playbook. And so this is an easy fix where I think Hurts needs to be more flexible in his thinking here because the Eagles need to find answers. And an easy answer, easy fix is running Jalen Hurts more. Number 2, run tempo more. One of the biggest keys to the turnaround against the Los Angeles Rams when the Eagles scored those 24 unanswered points after going down big in the first half, they ran more tempo. What did Jordan Mailata say earlier this year? That the Eagles are at their best when they go with a more up-tempo approach. Earlier on this season, they were one of the slowest teams in the NFL at getting to the line. And then they would let the play clock go down, and it gives the defense more time to identify what you're doing. When the Eagles were in that hole on Friday against the Bears, what did they do to score that touchdown when Hurts hit A.J. Brown to finally get on the board and to finally put together a good drive? They ran tempo. And then they didn't run it until the end of the game in garbage time, and Jalen Hurts and the offense looked comfortable. And I think this is big, too, for Hurts when I watch when the Eagles go into tempo, because it forces Hurts to think less. And I think right now he's thinking too much, and that's leading to him being hesitant and pulling the trigger. It's leading to the processing issues. And I think about what the Eagles did against Minnesota, what they did against the Giants, what they did against the Rams when they played their best football. It's when this offense is clicking and humming and they're running with some tempo, and it's leading to Jalen Hurts just being able to fire more on all cylinders. Number 3, run more RPOs and run more plays under center. When you're running the RPOs, you're forcing the defense to have to try to set the edge and account for Jalen Hurts as a runner, but also Saquon Barkley as the runner. There was also a really nice design in that Bears game where Hurts faked the handoff on the RPO, he rolled to his right, and he layered a throw on the run to DeVonta Smith. It was one of the few explosive plays that the Eagles had in the pass game against Chicago. Under center. Remember what the Eagles are doing against Minnesota and against New York? It led to a little bit more running success, like when the Eagles ran for almost 300 yards against the Giants, but passing success. The deep ball against Minnesota, from Hurts to DeVonta Smith for that long touchdown. Probably Hurts' best game of the season. One of the better games he's played as a quarterback at the NFL level. So RPOs and under center, I think, can just help out this offense on so many different fronts. Number 4, this is personnel-wise, I think the Eagles should run Tank Bigsby more. How did Tank Bigsby not get involved or get any carries for the most part against the Chicago Bears? What are we doing here? With this offensive line struggling to create running lanes and holes and get a push for Saquon Barkley, who's more of that patient back, why not run Tank Bigsby? If your offensive line can't get a push, run Tank Bigsby, and he's just going to be able to pick up a few yards here and there just because he runs hard and he's more of a north-south runner than Saquon Barkley. I would also think about maybe playing a Drew Kendall, playing a Willie Lampkin, doing something like that personnel-wise to change things up where you've been struggling. And then number 5, no more Greg Calcaterra, please. I don't want to see Greg Calcaterra on the field any longer. He's giving you no value as a pass catcher. And when the Eagles go heavy, 12 personnel, and they're running some of these 2 tight end sets, Greg Calcaterra can't block. And he's killing this team right now. When Cam Latu was on the field against the Bears, Jalen Hurts went 3 for 3. And there were some nice plays with Cam Latu on the field. Cam Latu is a better blocker than Greg Calcaterra. That's why the Eagles have run him at fullback at times. And he's pretty physical. We've seen that with him on some special teams reps. At Alabama, he did have some pass-catching ability, so maybe you can give him some targets in the pass game. But Greg Calcaterra, I believe, was on the field for 11 plays against the Bears. There were 10 running plays. The Eagles ran away from Calcaterra's side. But there was one play where it got blown up because he missed his block and the backside guy came in to make a stop. Greg Calcaterra can't block. The Eagles coaches should be able to see this on tape and make the simple adjustment. But up until this point, they haven't. Now it's time. So those are the things that the Eagles can do to fix this offense with Kevin Patullo still in there as offensive coordinator. Hopefully today you were informed on the program and you enjoyed the content. I'm doing this type of content on my social media pages as well. Give me a follow on X, Instagram, and just launched that TikTok. It's at Chase_Senior on all 3 of those.